so much for taking the time to join us today for this JumpCloud Partner Success interview. Let's get going in the traditional way by learning a little bit more about yourself and your MSP.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on today. My name's Zohrab Gyunashyan. I'm Chief Executive Officer of Triphen Technologies. We started this company almost 20 years ago now, in 2006, originally branded as POS Solutions, with two very close high school friends of mine, Haik Ravasian and Alex Ovsipian, who had the same passions in technology. And we originally started in the retail point of sale space, reselling Microsoft retail management systems. But all of us kind of come from an IT background, went to school for technology. And from there, we kind of branched out, rebranded in 2010 as Triphen Technologies, to incorporate more and more IT services and MSP and MSSP services.
Fascinating. Thanks for that. It's an unusual story as well. I speak to lots of MSPs and their background is either from the technology side or maybe they're from the print side or the telco side, but from the kind of point of sale side, which has been a huge convergence between point of sale and IT to the point that they're so linked now. I guess that's quite an unusual story, that the way you got into the MSP space.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, we're somewhat unique in this space in that we, when we got into the point of sale business, we were all kind of very IT minded. I went to school for information systems. Both of my co-founders went to school for telecommunications. So we didn't really have, a specific point of sale in mind. It was just kind of something we found and fell into. So from there, we always knew that technology was going to be the future in the hospitality space and the retail space. We saw that coming, and we started when we were very young, still in college, 18, 19 years old. So we kind of foresaw the future and knew that starting there and then growing from there and providing a full suite of technologies is definitely in the making.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you definitely saw the future. So well done for that. You see to pick that and helped disrupt that industry, I guess, back in the day. But looking at it now, you mentioned sort of hospitality, retail kind of thing. What does a typical Triphen client look like? Is there a particular profile?
Yeah, so over the years, we've gained a ton of different types of customers, from single unit operators and kind of mom and pop shop hospitality and retail brands, now to really multi-unit and big franchises that have a standardized stack that we provide and manage for them. It's been kind of an evolution. I think right now we add a lot of value to businesses that or brands, I should say, that are in that multi-unit space, are looking to either grow and rapidly expand the business due to some funding or something along those lines, and don't want or don't need to heavily invest in internal IT, or for those brands that are multi-unit that want to revamp their technology stack. We recently worked with a customer that had over 100 franchisee locations and over 20 corporate locations. It's a hospitality brand that was kind of working off of technology that hadn't really been touched in three decades. So it was kind of a messy environment where we went in and we updated network infrastructure, voice over IP phones, communication tools, identity management, and we continue to kind of phase by phase roll out these different technologies and standardize a stack that's going to make it easier for them to open new stores and open new locations and continue to grow, which is a goal of theirs today.
Yeah, and when you're speaking, this is a huge generalization, but when you're speaking, you go and see a new client in the hospitality or retail area. Have they historically been sort of forward thinking, sort of cloud, or do you still go in with a lot of? You mentioned a lot of old infrastructure. Is that common? They're kind of still on premise in a lot of cases.
So you asked me what our ideal customer is, and our ideal customer is that, that brand that understands that they're a bit behind in technology, or that, they can be more efficient and save money by partnering with a team like us to revamp, strategize, and standardize their technology stacks. So in that sense, that's our ideal customer. But in terms of the hospitality space, there are a lot of customers that don't understand the need, and a lot of those customers, unfortunately, since COVID, and it took a little bit of time, but we've seen a lot of restaurant businesses and hospitality brands grow because they've really fallen behind on infrastructure, really. There are all these new software applications, all these third-party delivery companies that require integration, modern infrastructure, modern software to work. And a lot of these brands have fallen behind, and now they're realizing how big of an investment that is to do all at once and how much of an undertaking that is. And a lot of them are choosing to kind of close up shop. So that's where we come in, where we can really add value and cut some of those costs and have these standardized, technology packages that we can provide and really help with that stability and infrastructure and growth as you add on technologies to the chain.
Yeah, and I've not even thought of that. I was just making a note as you were speaking because I'm in the UK. For those that don't know, and delivery companies, there's a whole host of those come up. It's a super fragmented market. I'm assuming it's the same over there. And then third-party hotel booking applications that people need to integrate. And it's never kind of occurred to me that these restaurants or these hotels or whatever they are need to integrate these systems into other platforms at the back end. So I guess that's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big challenge. And all of the software providers in this space are very concerned with selling their software, right? But they're very knowledgeable in most respects to their software, but not any other products that are out there or what they need to integrate with. So there are a lot of difficulties in the space today where um, a customer will want a third-party online ordering app that needs to seamlessly integrate with their point of sale to avoid errors in orders and to avoid multiple tablets on top of the counter. Um, and there are a lot of difficulties with that. Whenever you're integrating any software solution with another, you're not always going to have one-to-one features and functionality. You have to understand what the differences are, how to design databases in the point of sale system that are also going to speak to third party applications. And every third party application is different, has different feature sets. Some integrate certain number of feature sets while others integrate other feature sets. So you have to really understand both products very well to be able to really integrate them in a seamless fashion where to the end user at the restaurant who might be a cashier or kitchen staff, things seem seamless, right? An order is placed on a third party app online for an online order, comes into their POS, it registers in their sales, goes into their reporting, but also goes to the kitchen at the right time to display it to kitchen staff for that order to be made at the right time to now satisfy the customer of that restaurant to get their food on time and get food that's still warm, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of links in the chain, and a true MSP that understands the infrastructure, the technology, and point of sale, we found out is pretty valuable to these brands.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's fascinating just thinking about the sort of permutations because at the end of it, as you mentioned, is someone's waiting for some food. and it's got to be delivered at the
Exactly.
right time at the right temperature. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's vital. So yeah, talking about the services and the applications, one of the things I usually chat about is around different productivity suites that MSPs would use. Would you say, do you work with sort of Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, or a combination of the two?
Yeah, so we do both. We're partners with both Google Workspace and Microsoft 365. We have a lot of clients, especially in the restaurant space. Um, the restaurant workers themselves are a younger generation, right? And Google did something very smart when they originally built Google Workspace and Gmail specifically. They gave it out to free to schools, first of all, to any EDUs, and they also gave out Gmail for free to anybody that wanted to use it. So our customers generally have a younger generation of workers that are extremely used to Gmail and Google Apps. And then they have, investors and C-level employees that are used to Outlook and Microsoft 365. In a lot of situations, we have a mixed environment where, the emails might be Google, but the the teams all still use some version of Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Those are the tools that they're used to. So now we have many mixed environments where they might be using emails from one solution and a product suite from another. And JumpCloud actually helps us manage all of those devices, manage those users properly, and manage their identities in that environment.
Well, that's great to hear. And we'll come on to a little bit more about the benefits that you found for your clients with JumpCloud. But before we do that, I mean, how did you initially come across JumpCloud? Was it for a particular client had a problem, or you just Googled something, or how did the relationship begin?
So we had a need, and that's why we started looking for a solution. We had a customer that had a bunch of Mac machines in the field. That's another thing with restaurant brands is, it's restaurants in general and food in general is somewhat of a creative space, right? And a lot of founders are chefs. They don't necessarily, like technology or are particularly into technology. They love to be in the kitchen. They love to come up with new concepts, new foods, and they just want their technology to work. So a lot of those types of customers have always gravitated towards Macs, especially in recent years, and Apple devices. So we were originally deploying Windows workstations to restaurant back office machines and things like that, which was common and that's normal. But we had a customer that had a bunch of Mac machines in the field, and a lot of these machines were belonged to either C-level executives or VIPs that held a lot of information and needed to really be secured. We recognized that hole, and we had issues and calls into help desk for these machines that we didn't really manage, asking for password resets and things like that. So we went out there and we started looking for a tool. Apple actually pointed us in a direction of another kind of identity manager, device manager that integrates with Microsoft Azure Active Directory service, which was and still is kind of a back-end foundational identity management solution. Uh, and the experience wasn't great with them. So we continued to look and stumbled onto JumpCloud. I don't specifically remember how exactly, but it was me and Alex, our chief technology officer, that were just kind of looking at different solutions, and we stumbled onto JumpCloud. Right from the get, the experience was really great in that the communication was good and the technical knowledge of the salespeople and the initial people that we were talking to of the product itself was really good. So we were able to kind of dive into details with them, pretty quickly. One turnoff for us whenever we're looking at partners and products is when we get a traditional sales pitch, and then when we kind of dive into technical details and functionality, the knowledge is really lacking. And then they have to pull engineers, and sometimes it's tough. It's always like, we have to reschedule things. And that wasn't really the experience with JumpCloud. Everybody was very knowledgeable about the product from the get. And once we started to, do some testing in-house and implementing it with Mac machines, and got the integration going with Microsoft Azure Active Directory service, we realized that, it's a great, wonderful tool. The UI online was super easy to use. So that's kind of how we stumbled onto it.
Yeah, amazing. And that went down a road that I wasn't expecting it to, which is why I love these conversations, because we've always, and I've in the MSP industry, we've always said that Mac users are generally more creative. And by that, we automatically think graphic designers or marketing or whatever. And then you've just blown my mind. We're absolutely right with that sort of food, and that is a creative industry, and it would, and I've never thought of it in that way before. So it's yeah, that's just really made me sort of think a little bit more about how we define what a creative industry is internally. So thanks for that. And you mentioned previously a little bit about what you do with JumpCloud, or how JumpCloud helps your clients. But I mean, what are the sort of major pain points that it helps them out with, or helps you as the MSP out with, either way?
Um, so security is always a big concern, right? And the pain point for us was kind of what I touched on, is managing all of these users in enterprises that have these mixed operating system environments. That is extremely common nowadays with Mac machines and Windows machines in the same enterprise, using the same tools with the same identities. And JumpCloud immediately solved that pain point for us and our customers. We were able to bring all of these devices and all of these users into one environment where our technicians and our help desk uh, can very easily go into one place and manage all of these users, reset, lost and forgotten passwords, enforce password policies, and things like that. So that was a huge pain point before, where we basically didn't have any management for Mac, uh, and neither did our clients. And now we do with JumpCloud.
Yeah, interesting again. And one of the things that some MSPs are telling me is that they're seeing sort of more and more bring your own device is in the industry in general. Are you seeing that across hospitality and retail?
We definitely discourage it. Again, from being mindful of security, nowadays, we really recommend and prefer that our clients own these devices. In the case of, offboarding an employee, retrieving those devices, backing up those devices, it really helps in litigation and different things to really own those devices and not have a customer walk away with proprietary data that could be on their machine.
Of course, yeah, that's a great answer. So moving on to the next section, and you should have a lot of experience with this, I guess, because founded in sort of 2006, been going a long time. But if you were speaking to a new MSP that was sort of either just getting started or getting started with JumpCloud into the industry, what advice would you give them with your learnings from the past?
Um, I think it's important for any MSP to understand the value that they bring to their industry, where they particularly add value to their industry, whether it's being a full-blown, outsourced IT team for their customers, or helping and, mitigating some of the work that internal IT teams have to do. Um, I would also say to not compromise on services. Over the years, it was a hard lesson to learn to kind of, give everybody everything that they want, instead of understanding what that customer needs and really not compromising on what you think is really best for that customer that might not see the big picture or understand, you know, the value in the tools that you provide. Sometimes you'll lose customers because they'll go after a cheaper solution or a break fix MSP. But in our experience, those customers that, you know, where we've held our ground and we've said, no, these are the tools that we're selling. We think that these are the tools that are right for you for this and this reason. You know, a lot of times they've gone and realized that the grass is not always greener on the other side, and cheaper is not always better. And they've come back. And those customers that understand that value right off the bat will be customers for a very long time, and they'll continue to add services with you and trust your advice.
Yeah, I guess it's about having the sort of a client that understands the value that you bring and understands the value of IT to their business. Because I guess in some cases they probably think, well, we're a, you know, we're a food business. We're not, IT is not our thing. But they're not thinking that, you know, without the IT, the food business just wouldn't operate. So I guess it's
Exactly.
having clients that do understand that.
Exactly. I mean, you know, part of our job as MSPs is to educate the clients, and it's very difficult, especially in our space, to find the client that immediately understands all their needs and everything that they want. You know, a lot of clients that we visit just know that what they have is broken. So they're looking to us to really educate them on what is broken, what the plan is to fix it, and what the long-term cost savings are going to be with an initial investment in the tools and the new hardware and the infrastructure that's needed. So it's really important to educate these customers. And if they're still not interested after that, then, don't compromise on services just to get a client, because you're gonna, endure some pain down the road when they don't really have the tools that make it efficient for you to manage them, and or they have a security breach because they didn't want to buy, and pay for all the tools that they need to protect themselves.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, final question, which is related to that actually, which is around when you're speaking to prospects or existing client or prospects mainly in this case. I mean, are they already working with an MSP, or are they net new? Do they have existing IT teams internally that you co-manage with, or do you generally take the whole thing yourself?
So we're fairly unique in the space where, restaurant operations is one of our core competencies, and understanding point of sale systems and all the tools that have really exploded in the industry since the pandemic. So, we've seen a big rise to our business and just the need for, a knowledgeable MSP in the space. We take over some clients that have MSPs currently, that are traditional MSPs that are used to doing, supporting Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 businesses. And our clients, a lot of them, their busiest times are Friday night and Saturday night, right? That's when they make a majority of the revenue during the week. So it was important for us to have after hours help desk. We actually have an office in Armenia now, which is on 11 or 12-hour time difference, depending on daylight savings. Uh, and, when our technicians in LA sign off, the technicians in Armenia sign on, and these are all our in-house technicians. So we have some, we've taken some specific strides to make sure that these hours and the weekends are covered for our customers in terms of supporting their point of sale systems, supporting the network, the infrastructure, the whole 9 yards, their entire technology stack. For some customers, we are the only IT team that they have. And for other customers, we work very closely with internal IT staff. You know, Either or is perfectly fine with us. We actually do prefer that, especially the bigger customers have some internal IT staff that we can work with. It's a lot easier to communicate and provide options to somebody that's technical and understands and can present it to a board or the executive team what the needs are, and put budgets together and strategize together, versus trying to explain it from the MSP's perspective. And if you haven't really gained that customer's trust, sometimes that customer will just think you're trying to sell them something, right? So it's kind of a balance that you have to maintain with that.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your time today. I've learned so much. I've made some notes here. You've opened my eyes to the world of MSPs and hospitality, with whether that be out of hours, the myriad of different applications, the time-sensitive nature of it, the creative side. It's given me lots of food for thought, and it just shows what a modern MSP you guys are, that can kind of deal with all this, take all this on in mixed environments, which is a challenge, rather than just saying you have to use this, this, and this. It's a case, ultimately, the user, or they decide what they want to use, and you sort of help make it work in a secure way. So it sounds fantastic what you've done, and I've really enjoyed speaking with you. Thanks for being a great partner of JumpCloud as well. I know that the team really appreciate it, and thanks for your great feedback on the sales process, which I'll feedback to people involved.
Yeah.
But once again, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you for having me on, and it was a great talk.